It is time for another roundup. EA might actually be preparing for a loot box reckoning. Activision Blizzard have had incredible financial results, but Blizzard's user base is dwindling, and it's dwindling by the millions. Then CD Projekt Red are under fire.
I need to turn this up. It's at max, it should be fine.
For some pretty damn iffy executive bonuses, and one of their longest serving creatives has just resigned following a harassment investigation. Then, for Stadia, they have lost another big name amid other reports of sniping going on. Speaking of sniping, Sony maybe have sniped Microsoft's acquisition of Discord, or maybe they've just made a really big deal. There's quite a lot there, and of course, even more in today's show. And if you want to support the team that makes this, and also get a whole bunch of just cool shit in your mailbox, check out the Patreon. Patrons, thank you. With that said, let's go. Well, what a week for Activision Blizzard. Their quarterly earnings report basically revealed massive success.
What a
Net
fucking
revenue
surprise.
up 27%, bookings up 36%, income up 23%. And here's their real superpower. It's not King, it's not
What? It's not King?
Blizzard, it's Activision Publishing, because they had
Alright,
72...
that legitimately surprises me. I thought it was their mobile division that was raking in the millions. You're not telling me Call of Duty is that profitable, surely?
2% year-on-year revenue increase going on.
Well, there's Call of Duty Mobile written there. Isn't that technically a mobile game?
Kind of bonkers, right? Well, no, not really, because Call of Duty Mobile had a great launch in China and has generally been doing...
Of course it did. The Chinese market. You know, if they excluded the Chinese market from these quarterly earning things, I wonder how drastic the numbers would become in difference.
Super well, and that whole thing of the Call of Duty three-way has basically just meant a very strong year. I mean, their monthly active users are 147 million, and that is utterly mind-boggling given how they were literally at a fraction of that but a few years ago. So, pretty big stuff. Staffing then. Bobby reiterated the plan to hire 2,000 devs, and apparently some of their teams are going to triple in size. Now, given that all of their studios are working on Call of Duty in some capacity, I think you can tell there that Activision are going in real hard on that. Also, on that, they actually confirmed that this year's installment is going to be a full premium game made by Sledgehammer, and it will have a fall release. Yeah. Now, this confirmation has been a long time coming amid, of course, rumors that the game is in a sorry state, potentially with cancelling it even being on the cards at some stage, or at least moving it out. Well, it actually turns out that Sledgehammer, well, they just opened a third studio in Toronto. Yes, the Imperium of Man approach to content creation, just throw game dev bodies at the problem. Now, jokes aside, I have seen some of the rumor mill people double down that the game is actually still a bit of a shit show. But obviously, Activision Blizzard aren't going to say that in their earnings call, so it's kind of hard to know exactly what's going on.
Call of Duty title being a shit show?
Really,
say it ain't so.
They're seemingly announcing that game a fair bit later. Now, they did say they would properly announce and reveal that game later on than they usually do, and they're framing there that that was a part of like their new way of doing Call of Duty, where they don't want to, you know, announce like the big new thing super early because of how they tie the premium games into Warzone. Now, that could just be PR spin, and it could actually be that the game really isn't a lot of bother and they basically are just playing for time. Right now, it's pretty much impossible to know. Well, other than that there actually will be a premium release this year. Separately then, they also denied reports of layoffs at Toys for Bob. Now, of course, Toys for Bob were recently shifted into the Call of Duty mines, where they'll be supporting with Warzone. Now, one ex-staffer said that they had left the studio alongside, quote, everyone they used to work with. Everyone. Now here, Activision did confirm that the studio is fully operational and that they're going to continue to support Crash 4 alongside their new Warzone duties. Now, from what I understand, they've been keeping a big eye in this story, and basically, it's that Spyro team wasn't super big, and the people who were on that basically left because of this Call of Duty shift of their own volition.
You tell me they didn't want to work on rehashed bullshit every fucking 2 years? That they felt like the creative talent wasn't going towards something worthwhile? Can't believe someone might want to do something with their fucking talent instead of working on a military shooter that's the same garbage every goddamn release with like a few extra guns, a slightly new mechanic as their gimmick, that the hook for that year.
Because they didn't want to work in Call of Duty. They weren't fired. Okay, time for the rest. King had a 22% revenue increase, but hey, it's King, it's Candy Crush, it's free-to-play trash, so who cares?
Exactly.
Blizzard then, revenue was up by 7% to $483 million.
How?
Now, yeah, Blizzard growth going up.
How? How is their growth going up? That doesn't make any sense. All of their IPs have failed. They are failing. Let me go on to Blizzard games right now. What have we got? World of Warcraft, Shadowlands, tanking. Nobody gives a fuck about it. It's a garbage expansion. Not as bad as Battle for Azeroth, but it didn't take much to fucking improve upon rock bottom. Let's be fair. It's just boring, and it's taking them too long to get the content out. I understand there's delays because of COVID. That's fair enough. But it should not be taking this much delay. Diablo 3. What's to say there? They've got a fourth coming out, but it's not out, so they can't be making money there. The seasons don't cost anything as far as I'm aware. Hearthstone, I can't remember anybody who gave a shit about Hearthstone. I know they're coming out with the Hearthstone Classic to make it maybe semi-playable again. But I know that the majority of people who used to like the game have stopped playing it because it's just way too expensive. Far too expensive. Overwatch. Everybody's waiting for Overwatch 2 and hoping it won't be immensely dog shit. People who still play Overwatch right now are either playing it casually or they're still attempting some sort of pro scene. Warcraft Reforged was a dumpster fire. StarCraft 2, I mean, what's StarCraft even doing these days? Nothing. I don't think that's generating any money. Heroes of the Storm, they outright fucking abandoned it. So that's clearly not going anywhere. What else have they got left? There's nothing. How the fuck are they going up in revenue when they don't have any fucking IPs that are doing well? Warcraft Classic. The World of Warcraft Classic. They've fucked up with TBC by trying to monetize the shit out of it, and I guarantee they'll lose people who originally wanted to play, like myself. I think I might end up giving it a miss. Legitimately might give it a miss, even though that Burning Crusade Classic was definitely the thing that I was looking forward to. But seeing how they're going to be treating it has made me extremely skeptical. It boggles my fucking mind how Blizzard could be earning anything or going anywhere upwards.
But that's really not the full picture. So Activision Blizzard attribute this to growth of Shadowlands and WoW Classic.
Fuck off!
That bit is interesting because they boasted year-over-year increases in Q1 WoW engagement. Obviously, there is going to be an increase because Q1 2020 was the last patch of a pretty terrible expansion. Q1 2021 is mere months after a fresh expansion release.
Of course.
Not that Shadowlands is a controversy-free expansion.
No, it
That
doesn't.
said, they are actually, they've said that they're happy with the new user uptick for WoW. But I'll say that at least anecdotally, things are not doing that great. I think the end game player base is not thrilled about just many aspects of the game. I all the time see people talking about their guilds feeling empty, and I mean the same is even
people
happens
stop
in my
giving a
guild.
shit.
People are playing other games.
Other games. They're playing Final Fantasy 14. I know that much. A bunch of people I know have been playing Final Fantasy 14. Elder Scrolls Online, kind of mediocre as it might feel, is still enjoyable to play as a casual game. There's still a shit ton of content to play in Elder Scrolls. Final Fantasy 14 has a ton of content, especially considering they recently released their own expansion. Or a big major update for that expansion as well. What other MMOs is there out there? I mentioned Black Desert, but who plays that, really? I know it still has a player base, but as far as I feel like the only people playing it right now are just people who have sunk so much time into it that they feel it's too late to abandon it. Sunk cost fallacy. I don't really know any other MMOs that are on the currently worth playing. Star Wars Old Republic, I guess, but as far as I'm aware, that's in a content drought as well. That has been for quite a while. People who play that very, very casually.
Hard to tell. Certainly head over to our Clips channel if you want to see my diminishing faith in some of what goes on over there. Now, they also did reconfirm that Diablo Immortal and Diablo 2 Resurrected are set for release before the end of this year, which really is no surprise.
Fucking Diablo Immortal.
Now, the striking thing is Blizzard's monthly active users, because they're down 16% year over year, and they're down to 27 million. And overall, that's a 29% drop in Blizzard's player base over the last 3 years. That's just bad. I mean, that is a time period that also covered the departure of two of Blizzard's co-founders and many high-level creatives. You know, we've got people like Jeff Kaplan, right? They're gone now.
Gone.
And I don't hear great things, let's just...
If it comes out that Jeff Kaplan has... after leaving Blizzard, he's taken like a little break. If he turns up at that new company that is made up of ex-Blizzard higher-ups, I will not be surprised in the slightest. If that's where he just like turns up one day and they announce it like Jeff Kaplan joining the team, wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. This just seems to be where everybody's going after the fuck up of the recent Blizz.
It's strange that revenue was up while engagement was also down in terms of monthly active users, but it's worth mentioning that they had been monetizing WoW pretty damn hard, right? Like Shadowlands had its really big explosive launch, then they launched, a 6-month mount promo and stuff like that. So I think this is a case of World of Warcraft basically keeping the thing going because all of their other things don't seem to be doing great. Apparently Hearthstone, though, is is on the right track. So basically, Blizzard need new releases to get people back in. Overwatch was 2016. That's like 5 years ago now.
Jesus.
Now, there is one other thing, and that is that there are multiple World of Warcraft, Warcraft, mobile games in the works. We do not know any specifics, just that Jao and Brack did reiterate that that is something that they're working on. So
hell no.
I expect their plan is to roughly have those Warcraft mobile games do to Blizzard's monthly active users what Call of Duty Mobile did to Activision's.
This might be a conspiracy, but it's not like it's baseless. It's certainly grounded in something. Just hear me out. What if Blizzard are intentionally letting their IPs die? Or the majority of them. I know they're coming out with they're definitely keeping on track with the Overwatch thing, but maybe that's something they give a shit about? I don't know. What if it's obvious at this point that that World of Warcraft is in a managed decline. They clearly are wanting to get that shit done with. And part of me doesn't blame them. That game is old now. Look, WoW, its visual style still holds up. It's still a very pretty game visually. The gameplay itself, how the mechanics feel, the whole fluidity of the combat is still fine. I still don't agree that with the whole goddamn global cooldown being so fucking slow, but it is what it is. It's still out there. The combat still feels the most fluid to play out of any MMO that I've tried out. I mean, they've had enough. They've had plenty of years to refine it, so that's fair enough. But it's always felt that way. What if the ultimate plan is just to let all this like slowly crash, and then replace everything with mobile games? Think about it. Mobile market is increasing every single year. How, I don't know, because as far as I'm aware, nobody that I know in my immediate circle plays mobile games, and they all spit on it. But clearly, it's in certain areas of the world, it's huge. It's a huge industry, and it's making them millions and millions and millions. So what if they're just going to? What if Blizzard are now just a mobile company game, and they're slowly trying to phase things out in favor of mobile games? If they bring out the Warcraft mobile games and they're a success, not saying they're a success in the West, I'm saying they're a success in the Asian markets, I could see them totally just completely shifting, and then becoming a purely mobile game company, and just making bank off that. That's the future of gaming, ladies and gentlemen. The future of gaming is bullshit microtransaction gacha games. That's it. Nobody gives a fuck. If you want a decent game now, you go to indie developers. AAA don't give a shit anymore. They don't care. It costs too well. So they claim. It costs too much to make AAA titles now, and that's why they need to heavily monetize and triple dip into the monetization every 2 years that they release the titles that in the series. I'm so pissed off with the state of the gaming industry. It sucks. It sucks. Being so into it, growing up with it, and then seeing the rise of gaming become so mainstream, so huge, and so many people now being involved with it, and being so much of a fan of gaming, to see it fall to greed like this, to be so corrupted by capitalism. Because that's what it is, essentially. It's just capitalism. It's bullshit. It's just men in suits wanting more and more money. Investors wanting more and more money. CEOs wanting more and more money. That's all they care about. Don't care about the games. Don't care about the customers. Care about the numbers. That's all they care about. Numbers. Numbers in the bank account. It's not because they can use it. It's just, it makes them feel powerful. It makes them think they've got a big fucking wiener.
Really, that's that. I think we're going to do a deeper dive on the state of ActiBliz soon, though, so stay subbed for that. Next, some drama. So, a new Bloomberg report states that CD Projekt Red's board members are set to earn a combined $28 million in bonuses.
What?
The co-CEOs, Marcin and Adam, are going to be getting $6.3 million each. Now, this just hammers home how commercially successful Cyberpunk 2077 was. Now, their annual report confirms that the studio brought in
a really rocky release.
$562 million last year. And of course, with Cyberpunk selling through 13.7 million copies in its launch window, I mean, yeah, a lot of money came in. Now, the thing is that CD Projekt Red are a profit-sharing studio.
Yeah, a lot of money came in, but it could have been a lot more had the release of the game been actually good. I guarantee it would have been higher, considering that I know a lot of people who didn't touch the game because of the bad reviews, and that they were waiting until after. But then again, I also know a lot of people that said that they were buying it regardless of the reviews, just because of the setting. Cyberpunk is a strange game. I've enjoyed playing it, but I feel like it's lacking. I feel like it should never have been released in the state it was released in. That's for damn sure. And I know that there's been patches out. But to say that it was a successful launch, it's definitely far from the truth.
Right, so all staff should benefit from this pretty damn record-breaking year. But basically, while management are very happy with their big stacks of cash, things are a bit more bittersweet for the employees. So,
what a surprise.
Bloomberg's reporting that the staffers' bonuses have ranged from $5,000 to $20,000. But many people were expecting quite a bit more. There's also the thing that, I mean, this, I assume, isn't a yearly bonus. This is like their royalties that are going to be based on how well the game did. So, you know, this is multiple years of work, I suppose, have led to this sort of bonus. Now, the problem here is that despite, several delays, the game was still rushed out the door with a stupid amount of issues. Those are issues that tanked the critical reception of the game and, saw it delisted from the PlayStation Store, all of that jazz, right? It's continuing to lose sales to this day. CD Projekt Red's financials confirm that they've set aside over $50 million, to cover projected lost sales and things like that. And that is, a decent enough chunk of last year's revenue. So it's stuff that's not really great. Now, these employees argue that if the game, simply had have been delayed again so they could release a good game, that their sales would have been stronger. And that, yes, their bonuses would actually reflect the game that they actually wanted to make for all of this time, rather than the one that basically the board forced them to shit out before the end of the year. It could have been worse too, actually, because staff bonuses were initially going to be tied to the game's critical reception, which would have been a bit rough on consoles, but they actually did change that policy shortly after the launch. Now for the more rough stuff. So, Bloomberg reported that they allocated $29.8 million in bonuses, split between the 865 staff.
I mean, that's not too bad. 865 staff, it sounds a lot, but it's not really. Not in terms of like a big studio, like a studio that's working on big titles like this. Like 29 million is it's an alright amount, I guess. Average about 34,000 each. So
and then 28 million to be divided amongst 5 board members. Now, while it's obvious.
What? Wait, hold up, whoa. So that's essentially the same, almost the exact same amount for 865 employees and 5 board members. Yeah, I can see why they're pissed off. Who would not be pissed off at that?
The standard for the execs to vastly out-earn employees, this number does feel really large and really skewed. This feels far more like the sort of thing you'd expect from an Activision Blizzard. And it's not actually went unnoticed by investors. Kaczynski was asked last week whether just bonuses this big were even appropriate for the board to be getting, given the circumstances. Of the heavy reputational damage, and then importantly, their stock price being at a 2-year low. And he simply replied that they always, that they've always been tied to profits, and more profits means more bonuses. Look, the dude's technically correct, yes, but I think there's some things that come up about responsibility. It's a bad look. I mean, screw that stuff. Like, look, my studio operates a 10% profit share. And there'll be news there soon. But you can be pretty damn sure that we're never going to structure things such that me and my co-founder get half of the entire total bonus pool. You know, that's a bit sickening. I don't like it whatsoever. Now, in other news, other CD Projekt Red news, the design director on Cyberpunk 2077 and game director of which...
Before we go on, do you know what pisses me off about this? Is that the reason for the failing is not the devs. It's the people managing. It's the people who are receiving half of the fucking bonus money between 5 of them. Those are the cunts that are making decisions to push games out before they are ready for release. It is not the devs' fault. The people working on the fucking ground floor. The people who are doing crunch time to meet deadlines. Deadlines that are far too goddamn small. Far too early. The ones that are stressing the hell out and needing time off work because they are literally falling ill by being overworked. They don't get that the majority of that bonus, but they should. No. It's the guys up above. They get all the fucking bonus. The half the goddamn bonus for making shit decisions. They make the crap decisions that ultimately lead to loss in revenue, and yet somehow they come out on top. How? Why?
Witcher 3 has actually resigned. And he resigned following a bullying investigation, which is obviously not a good look, and it's not good knowing that investigation-worthy things were perhaps going on during crunch. Now, in an email to staff, he basically wrote that a lot of people still feel, and I quote him, fear, stress, and discomfort about working there, working with him. And he also apologized for, as he puts it, all the bad blood, and he pledged to continue working on himself. Now, the months-long internal investigation ultimately found that this guy, Conrad, that he was not guilty to the sort of maximum, he's not fully guilty of what those, I guess the internal investigation was originally looking at. But then, of course, subsequently, he did leave the company. He did write that mail. That does leave a few questions. I suppose it's maybe the sort of thing where maybe
control, probably.
He was able to worm his way out of it, or maybe by the letter of whatever it was, he wasn't guilty. But clearly the guy has realized that he's fucked up to a degree. Maybe not disastrously so, but he certainly has done that. And he now seems to feel that his position is not tenable. And I guess I would say props to him for reflecting on his actions and taking the road that seems right by his team, even if it is at a personal loss. So, an interesting situation. And that's that for CD Projekt Red, at least for now. Potential corporate drama because Sony Interactive Entertainment now hold a minority ownership stake in Discord. Yeah, Discord. And they're going to begin integrating Discord into PlayStation Network early next year. Now on that, look, we're still waiting in specifics of what the deal is, but of course Jim Ryan, the Sony CEO, said that the ultimate goal of this partnership is actually to bring Discord and PlayStation closer together on console and mobile as well. Apparently work in the integration is already pretty well underway. And that is curious because it wasn't all that long ago that we were talking about Microsoft buying Discord for $10 billion. Would have been very funny if that went through and this deal was on the cards or being talked about. Now, Discord reportedly did walk away from that deal with Microsoft.
Yeah.
Right? They were going to go it alone. And I would say perhaps we now know why. Because imagine the user growth that a move like this could produce. Right? Pretty big. All those... Discord's massive for the PC gamers, but obviously for the console gamers, they can't Discord and game at the same time unless they've got a dual system arrangement. So... what if Discord gets all of those new users in, massively juice up their numbers, and that is when they decide to do their initial public offering, right? Be publicly traded in the stock market. Seems like that would be a pretty damn savvy move to me. Next up, John Justice.
I don't know if that's the plan, though. I mean, isn't Xbox already kind of minor partnered with Discord? I thought they were. I know you can link your accounts and everything. I think the idea is just for Discord to get integrated into as many platforms as possible. I don't know if they're gonna go with what Bellular's saying about going to get publicly traded later down the line. maybe get more money, more than 10 billion, or you know, maybe they just want to integrate as much as possible, and a deal from Microsoft would have prevented being everywhere. Because if they were to get bought out by Microsoft, then obviously they're not going to be anywhere near the PlayStation market, the PlayStation user base. Ultimately, I don't see a problem with it. I think Discord is a fantastic bit of software. It's certainly better than anything that's come before it. I know some people still use TeamSpeak, and they swear by it, but I've used TeamSpeak before in the past. I've used Skype. I've used a whole range of things, and Discord is by far the best program for that sort of service by a long shot, by an absolute long shot. So if the plan is to just get it everywhere, I'm totally fine with that. The more people are using Discord, the bigger the communities are, the more people to meet, the more people to game with. It's all good.
Yes. What a great name. That's actually his name. But John Justice has left Google this week. He was the VP and head of product for Stadia, and presumably hadn't been doing that much since Google, shuttered all of the internal Stadia development stuff
dead
back in February. So there you go. There's another big, Stadia person gone. Google.
Well, yeah. What are they gonna do? Stay in a dying company? The Stadia's dead. It's gone. It's already a thing of the past, as everybody fucking predicted. As everybody predicted, we all said that Stadia was a stupid idea, and that it would not last. And look at it. In fact, it's tanked quicker than anybody, even the naysayers like myself. It's tanked quicker than we thought it would. They tried this years ago, streaming services for games. It didn't work then, and we've told them when we've warned against it, that it's not what everybody's looking for. It's not a big thing yet. Until every person has good access to internet, it'll never be a thing. It'll never be a thing. Because it's always easier to upgrade your PC and play a game as it's supposed to be played than to wait for your local ISP or your local infrastructure to get upgraded. Not everybody has fiber, and it's really not worth playing these streamed games unless you have fiber optic. It's just not. So why did they think it was going to work this time? Hell, the UK itself still has garbage internet. It's shit. The infrastructure just isn't there. They won't upgrade the lines. They're slowly doing it in more upper class areas. But the majority of people in the UK still have crap internet. Scandinavia, now maybe get away with it here. Maybe you could get away with it in Scandinavia because for the most part, most internet here is pretty damn good. But even in the United States, most people don't have good internet. In fact, they have even with fiber optic, they have shit internet because their ISPs are garbage and they run a monopoly. They don't have to be good. Things like Stadia, they're a nice idea on paper, but in practice, they do not work. They will never work until the average consumer can effectively run it without jumping through 1,000 hoops.
Wishing Justice all the best in his next steps. And what's funny with all of this is it seems that quite a few people are actually being headhunted by Jade Raymond for her new studio, Haven. We don't know if Mr. Justice is going to Haven yet, but there you go. A bunch of people are jumping ship, and I guess Jade was in a way their old boss. Maybe a bunch of these people are going to that studio where they're going to be working on some sort of Sony exclusive. Overall, though, it's not surprising that this stuff is going down. It is just a symptom of Google's complete mishandling of Stadia. And with that, it's time for the quickfire round. The Burning Crusade Classic could release on June 1st, according to an advert that briefly appeared on Battle.net. Now, it's unclear whether the date refers to pre-patch or an actual start date.
This is an old episode, and we now know exactly what it means.
For the full thing, so watch this space. I'll certainly say, from my opinion, felt kind of early, and I'd like more lead time in pre-patch so I can level up a character.
Not happening.
Draenei, Blood Elf. Okay, speaking of Blizz then, they've actually filed a trademark dispute against Fox Media because there's a cartoon dog named Diablo in a new show that is about animals and therapy.
What's next? Suing Lamborghini because they have a car named Diablo? Bruh.
Fox obviously want to trademark the name for things like, pet food, who knows, whatever, licensed things for the cartoon. Blizzard have got a valid enough claim here. It's just quite funny that these companies are now fighting over a cartoon dog. 70 more Xbox One games were updated to support the Series X's FPS boost functionality this week, which is pretty awesome because it brings that number to 97. And I've got the Series X. It's at home at my TV, and you know what? Whenever I find out a bunch of games I've not played before get to run at 60 or 120 FPS, that's pretty damn exciting. So, good stuff. Now, hopping on over to Sony, well, Sony have actually filed a trademark for Sunset Overdrive, which actually ties into some earlier rumors that a revamped version of that game, which is a 2014 Xbox One exclusive, that actually will be coming to the PlayStation consoles. Kind of wild. Thing is, though, it's just a trademark. They don't really mean that much. Sometimes it's just done to sort of keep them up. But I guess it's something to keep an eye on. Now, next up, the Nintendo president, Shuntaro Furukawa, I think, says that they are considering doing animated content beyond, I actually forgot about this, but beyond having a Super Mario movie that's being done by Illumination. So
there's a Super Mario movie? What? I haven't heard about that.
There you go. Maybe they will actually have more content there. Now, staying with Nintendo, Nikkei actually recently reported that they are ramping up production of the Nintendo Switch to 30 million units this year, which is a pretty damn massive increase for a console that's now in its 5th year of life.
Excuse me? The Switch is 5 years old already? Are you kidding me? Dude, I'm getting old. There's no way it's 5 years old, surely. Good console, though. Good bit of equipment. I fully endorse the Switch. It's very, very good bit of hardware. Even if it's just to play Breath of the Wild.
It sure feels like Nintendo are gearing up for something here, though they're still keeping quiet in the thing that I want to hear about, which is an upgraded Switch Pro. Because seriously, playing some Genshin Impact on my iPad Pro, where the thing is basically running at a super high frame rate, looks absolutely gorgeous, then looking at Breath of the Wild in either handheld or docked mode, and it's just like, man, Nintendo, please, allow me to purchase a more expensive console that has got better graphics, please. Okay, next up, EA have actually started to offer direct purchase cosmetics in FIFA 21. Now, the first bundle includes a handful of items and things. It costs around $7 worth of FIFA points. But we bring it up here because it's the first time players have been able to directly buy cosmetics outside of loot boxes. Now, that, I think, means that this is likely a trial of a new monetization method that's probably in response to the tightening situation with loot boxes across the world.
Yeah, so they can sell it in Belgium and other countries that have banned loot boxes. It's not a good thing. It's just them trying to fucking sneak around it again. They'll find a way. They always find a way.
I mean, if you look at, say, Call of Duty, right? Call of Duty doesn't do loot boxes anymore. And its revenue has just been, as we covered, it's been going up and up and up and up, even though they mostly do it via things like bundles. So it'll be interesting to see what goes down there for sure. But I think it's a bit of a defensive play from EA. Finally then, the Resident Evil Village producer said that the game's horror factor has been balanced in response to feedback that Resi 7 was apparently too scary to play for some people.
okay. You make a horror game and the complaint is it's too scary, and your idea is to then not make it scary, or as scary as it was before. The fuck? Shouldn't you take that as a good thing? That people complain that it's too scary? Isn't that the intent?
I wouldn't know, I've not played it. Village, of course, still is going to be scary, but the team are basically paying more attention to, like, the tension curve of the game. I'll certainly say I've never really cared about Resi that much, or really horror, but after watching Haunting of Hill House and a few other things, yeah, I think I'm more willing to give the horror genre a chance, so maybe, in 1 or 2 days, I'll pick this game up and give it a spin. But okay, that is it for today's edition of the Roundup. Hope you found things interesting, illuminating, all that stuff. And if you would like to support our team and also get some sweet loot in the process, you can hit up the Patreon, link down below. All right, have a great day. I'll see you next time.
I do like Bellular's little Patreon thing he's got going on. I think it's very cool. Very geeky. It feels like the kind of stuff you get in the loot crate stuff, just without being primarily full of garbage.